Be
Yes.
efficient. And we're live. We are live. There we go. I will call this meeting to order. It is a meeting of the Glendale-River Hills School District Board of Education on January 28th, 2026. Welcome, everyone. Take a roll call vote of board members, starting with Chris Robinson. Here. Katie Avalos. Here. Karen Cromwell.
Here.
Danielle Bailey.
Here.
Carla Pennington Cross is here. Everyone is here. Also at the table, I always forget to acknowledge our Michelle Brown, our wonderful business director, and Anna Young, our fabulous superintendent. At this time, if you wish, you may stand and join in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, moving on to item 1D, agenda approval.
I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion by Karen Cromwell, second by Danielle Bailey. Any opposition to the agenda? All in favor? Aye. Agenda is approved. 1E, approval of board meeting minutes for January 7th.
I move to approve the meeting minutes for January 7th.
Second.
Any comments as to suggest? All right. Motion by Chris Robinson, second by Karen Conwell to approve the meeting minutes for January 7, 2026. All in favor? Aye. You're unanimous.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. 1F, meeting grounding.
Okay, so just in light of recent events, I thought I wanted to ground us and acknowledge that we know our schools do not exist in isolation, and what's happening right now in Minneapolis and the world beyond our district is being felt by our students, our staff, our families in different ways. And a lot of people in our community are probably feeling all kinds of feelings, grief and fear and anger and uncertainty, and that is coming into our schools, right? And I want to acknowledge that. I want us to maybe take a moment, invite you to just take a moment for Alex Preddy and Renee Good, to hold them in your thoughts and their loved ones and those impacted by recent events, and to recognize that members of our own community might not feel safe right now. And so for them, I would invite you to just have a moment of silence, take 3 deep breaths to honor their lives and hold space for everyone who's hurting and feeling unsettled. So, like education itself, there are no simple or immediate answers to what's unfolding in the world. What I think we can all recognize is the complexity, the pain, and the urgency that exist all at once, both within the education system and the world right now. And so, in order to sort of not feel helpless in this time, I thought I would just name some commitments, some things that I feel I have control over and that I can do in honor of this work that we do together, and that seem appropriate. So as a board member, and I would invite everyone else to reflect on what might feel right for you to commit to in the work that we all do together. I had 3 things I sort of came up with. So I wanted to commit to lead with honesty, care, and respect, which I know is something we as a board instinctively continuously strive for, as well as our admin, but just feels important to say it aloud. Knowing that our schools and our work exist within a broader world shaped by history, lived experience, and real struggles, I want to share my commitment to using data thoughtfully to learn and improve, and to hold space for what the data does not tell us about our students and our community and our world. And everyone in our community and in this world, I believe, has a right to well-being, to dignity, to feel a sense of belonging, very much in line with you know, our district's mission and vision, right? And in support of that belief, I want to commit to listen closely when concerns are raised, to stay open to feedback, even when conversations are difficult. And I think that that is something that we can, you know, model. It's important to model right now. So as we move into like the details of tonight's agenda, which are, I don't think super controversial, seem like, you know, revenue reports, board evaluations, I want to just remind myself that these commitments live there too. They live in those small moments, in the big moments, but also in this work, even if it's not obvious that like those things are what drive us, right? Or what drive me anyway. And so that's how we practice our values, and that's how we I don't know, have some sort of sense of control in a world where it feels like maybe we can't control all the outcomes. Anyway, that's the grounding. A little solemn, but
Solemn times.
solemn times, right? So
Thanks,
yeah.
Linda.
Yep.
Okay. A good reminder that what we do is important, right? We represent 930, how many students? 950 students. We represent 10,000 residents, right? What we do matters. Okay, moving on to item 2A, public comments. Visitors at this time may speak on any non-agenda item if you wish.
I
Yes,
have one.
from Wayne?
Yes. Do I have to say the whole address and everything?
Mr. Martin, can you just put it there? I guess technically, yeah, we need to put it in the record.
Okay, Wayne Martin, 7275 North Port Washington Road, apartment 1221, Glendale, Wisconsin, 53217. Comment is, if it isn't already on the list of things to do or add to the new website, I think it would be a good idea to add a list of school board meeting dates to the website. If it isn't already there, then putting it more obvious place so that dummies like me can find it. Would be appreciated. It is there, but
I would like to ask Mr.
probably
Martin.
not obvious, and we did have that change too.
Mr. Martin, I would ask you not to refer to my friend, Mr. Martin, as a dummy.
And then the question is, with measles popping up in Waukesha, does the district have a plan for if there's a measles case in the district?
Great question.
I can address that. Our district nurse that we share with Maple Indian Hill has been working in close collaboration with the North Shore Health Department and sent out earlier this week directions to all of the school health offices and administration, letting them know the protocol for what to do if we were to suspect a case of measles, and, you know, let us know that, you know, we're to work on isolating it, what signs and symptoms to be looking for, and how to work through isolation, and all of her contact information so that she can proceed with next steps and work in collaboration with the health department.
Great.
Yep.
Also, we have an extremely high vaccination rate in our district,
We do.
so we're pretty well protected.
I was just gonna say, is there reason to share something like that out with families, like in terms of, or not, or maybe not necessary?
I think maybe just, there's probably, and I can ask him about it tomorrow, there's probably general information right now on North Shore Health Department, just on signs and symptoms, so
Okay.
look at, and so that families are aware too, so the goal would be that, you know, if someone were to be displaying symptoms, we would want them to stay home, right?
Right,
And so
yeah.
like having families have that awareness would be good, so I can ask her to put something out.
Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. Anything else? Okay, moving on to 3A, open enrollment seat determinations.
All right. Just pull up my report here. All right, so the district does participate in the Wisconsin Public School Open Enrollment Program under the laws of the state of Wisconsin. And so a part of the work that we need to do as a district is to walk through criteria and establish open enrollment seats prior to the end of January. What I have attached in board documents is an opportunity to look at some of our projected class sizes for next school year and sort of our ideal sizes. So class sizes are always going to vary a little bit between, but our ideal class size ranges for K4 would be between 16 and 22, and for K5 through 3rd grade, 18 through 24, and then 22 to 28 in the middle school, 4 through 8. We want to make sure that we stay within those recommended class sizes. So a formula was applied, and it was the same formula that was used last year to help determine where seats would sit in terms of our predicted class sizes. So the way that that works is grade projected enrollment, which is divided by the number of sections, equals the projected size. And then we look at mid-size class range multiplied by the sections in the grade level equaling grade capacity. And then that grade capacity, we're looking at 90%. So and that's where we look at that open enrollment where there might be capacity. And we keep that 10% cushion in there because we do have a lot of students who move into our district. As you know, we kind of want to make sure that we have enough room there to stay at those optimal sizes. So looking at our projected enrollment for next school year, in K4, we're projecting 73 based on what we saw this year and the prior year. The projected class size there would be 18.25 based on that number coming in, which if we look at the OE capacity would put us at 65.7, which means we would be overall ready with our projections, right? So there would not be any space available at K4 that we would recommend. At K5, following that same format, looking at 5 sections and ideal class sizes, and that projected size, we're at -2. So again, looking at that projected size that's going to be coming forward in K5 based on where we're sitting in kindergarten this year and looking at prior school year numbers, right? So K4 and K5 are kind of our 2 areas where we don't always have the tightest projections because of the way that those 2 grade levels work. And our current K4 class is at 94 students, so we're predicting that 94 for next school year. And we would be looking at -4 in that group, so no open enrollment seat recommendations in 1st grade. In 2nd grade, we currently would have the projected 89 students, which is a little bit lower. In that grade level, when we run the formula, it would avail 1 open seat in 1st grade.
Second grade, right?
Oh, sorry, 2nd grade. Sorry, they're in 1st grade right now.
Yeah.
Yep. And then in 3rd grade, again at -2, so not any open seats in 3rd grade. 4th grade, our large bubble class we'll be looking at 5 sections at Glen Hills next year because of the size of that class. So we will be at 23.2 with 5 sections. And we have a -26 there. So large class there. 5th grade, if we're looking at that 22, we do drop to 4 sections in the middle school in 5th grade. So we would be looking at -3, so no seats available in 5th grade. And then 6th grade, -3 as well, so no seats available there. And then 7th grade, -2. And then our 8th grade class, another larger class, would be -13. So based on the chart and the administration would recommend that the board approve 1 seat at 2nd grade and 0 seats at grade 4. K5, 1st, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And the formulas in the chart above will continue to be used if resident enrollment creates the opportunity for new OE seats. So I'm going to turn things over at this time to Kelly Weiss-Golecki because she does the analysis for open enrollment seats for special education students.
Hey.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome.
Hey.
Welcome to the table.
Thank you. I have this linked in here and I'm just worried that my link isn't super accessible. I think like we've said in previous years, it's really hard to quantify students and it's really difficult to quantify student needs and it doesn't feel like an easy ask. This school year, when I was looking at our caseloads and a way to essentially measure particularly the caseload of our cross-categorical special education teachers. We used a special education service matrix tool. So this is different from what I've used last year or even the year before.
This is not 2 pages.
It's not.
Okay.
No, I made like too many copies and then I.
That's
So for every student in the school district, and that this was done in early December, so that there have been new students that have moved in with special education needs, students that newly qualified. It just kind of, right, it's just kind of the circle of life. But essentially we weight every student in these broad areas. So when we're thinking about their curriculum needs and the amount of modifications required for their curriculum, we look at their instructional needs. We look at communication and planning that's required, and that's amongst the team members. How big is the team? How complex is that collaboration? Behavior is also something we need to look at because that can often take a considerable pull from a special educator's time. We also take into consideration health needs and safety needs. So every student was weighted using this approach, and then they were put in a different category. So they would either be minimal, moderate, extensive, or comprehensive, and that kind of gives us a score and a way to kind of like weight the work. So the idea is we're looking at workload, not how many students do you have on your caseload, because those are very different ways of looking at the work of a special educator. So when we went through that process, you can kind of see the recommendations. It would be to cap at 12. Cap at 10 if there are 3 or more students on a caseload that would be considered extensive or comprehensive. We count students twice if they fall into that extensive category, and we would count a student 3 times if they landed in the comprehensive category. For each caseload, we also added 2 because that's essentially the average of what every special education teacher inherits as the school year moves on. So that's could be through students that have moved into the district or students that have newly qualified. Okay, so going through that, you can see on the chart here some of those projections, and you'll see they're staff members, but I obviously didn't put their names, but essentially what grade levels they're serving, and where those weights are sitting. And essentially we are capped for every special educator in our school district.
You're over capacity essentially.
We kind of are.
Yeah.
Not kind
That's
of,
what I see.
we are.
Yeah.
We're working really hard to meet
Yeah.
these right now.
I see that.
So the recommendation would be, that 0 open enrollment seats requiring cross-categorical special education seats are accepted for the school year. And we are at capacity based on the weighted caseload measures. Also looking at speech and language caseloads. We did look at straight up caseloads for speech and language. We are also at capacity for speech and language. So recommended for 0 open enrollment seats for students requiring speech and language services. 0 open enrollment seats for students requiring occupational therapy services. 0 open enrollment seats for students requiring physical therapy services. And 0 open enrollment seats for any students that would require contracted services. So if they require a service we don't have in the district and I need a contract, an outside agency for that, my recommendation would be that we don't have that available in the district, and I just wanted to spell that out. Does anybody have questions for me?
Very clear. Thank you.
I love this. It makes it cleaner for us in terms
Yeah.
of decision making, so.
I have just like wonderings around, like 2 things that popped up was like is there a way to measure the weight of the resources that our sped teachers utilize, evaluating kids not in our schools? Or like, if I just.
Oh, I see what you're
You
meaning.
know, like just.
For kids in voucher schools and private schools, where does that
Actually, I
come
would say
into
there's two
defining their
questions there.
caseload?
Evaluation in general, because we don't have dedicated evaluation staff, and evaluation for
Yeah.
individuals enrolled.
That's right, because not all of
So
evaluations
just-
end
it's-
up in an IEP.
Not something we have to like, I'm just wondering for future in terms of like, if you can do this with our students, thinking about how we might quantify. How our resources are
Yeah.
being spent
Mhm.
elsewhere.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point and it's an absolute truth, especially in what's coming down the road here. I know that there's going to be a pull and
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's not,
It's a good parking lot question.
exactly,
it's
not at all.
really, it's really
Yeah.
difficult even for us to anticipate what the need is going to be because we haven't gotten any clear numbers from the private schools in terms of what we can anticipate or what we might need as staff for. They haven't been able to give us anything. I don't think they know yet.
Have you guys ever done a workload analysis from the point of referral through the end of the meeting to get a sense of like how many hours are dedicated?
Oh,
I have not, and it really, it depends. I could probably gather an average, but every student comes to us with such unique needs.
It would have to be an average, right?
would
But it would
have-
allow you to generate a sense of like, what are our district needs internally? And what
Yeah.
are our district needs when we compute for external demands?
I can probably do that with and ask our school psychs. Our school psychs and our speech language pathologists do like case manage initial evaluations and reevaluations. I can probably set a target for just kind of capturing that data and even just sending them like a Google form monthly, asking them to just like, how many evaluations?
I wasn't trying, sorry.
Yeah, I was just getting
Yeah, I
ready
was
to be a nudge
Yeah.
and say, this is like I want to get us back to open enrollment.
Yeah.
This is
Sure.
super exciting. I think we're all easily drawn into this.
But it is a
Yeah.
factor.
It's a part of
That's
the
not
equation,
in
yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
I could send you some.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
So any other questions about the open enrollment projections?
I just want to say I really appreciate this level of analysis.
Right.
Well, the teachers did the work. I mean, the teachers went through every student on their caseload and
Yeah.
it's also kind of validating for them and all.
Yeah.
For sure.
I am
Students
working
just
hard.
not a number. They're also like, there's all these factors. This is
Yeah.
good work.
So this makes my kiddo a number. Like I just added it up.
I
You know what
saw
I mean? I was like, oh, okay,
I
20
knew.
comprehensive times them by 3.
To that end, though, what it does is allows us to make sure that we allocate the resources sufficiently
Oh,
to
100.
support the human beings.
Stay emotional.
Okay, we would have to start with a motion before discussion, if anyone wishes to make it.
Are we doing 3 separate motions
I
then?
think
What
we
if
could do
I
it
did
as one. You could just do
What
one.
if I,
We want to make sure that our motions around open enrollment seats are incredibly clear.
Yes.
what if would a motion that just said, I move to approve 0 open enrollment seats across the board, regular and special education suffice? Or
Yeah,
would you
you can
want
make-
those
you can
separate?
make that motion.
I'm asking if
You
Anna
can-
thinks that language is clear enough.
If you were to make a motion to approve 0 open enrollment seats across all categories and grades.
Well, except we're doing one for.
Well, you can make that
I,
motion.
but I,
Oh,
the motion
yeah,
I want,
you
I'm
could,
thinking,
yeah.
I wanna,
Got it.
okay, okay.
The special education piece needs to be based on the service, not.
Seats.
So you need to list out each individual service the way you did in your analysis.
I would base it on these recommendations.
Yep.
To be incredibly.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
And it's about the
Yeah.
service, not about like a label, so not.
Well, the
Right.
policy says determining
I think
we've
there's
done
a-
that
I
before.
would say that there's a specific reason for us.
okay. Oh, I see what you're saying. It's the first. Oh, God, that's 1, 2, 3, 4.
really?
No,
Way
maybe
before.
not that way, but requiring services, not
Okay.
special education.
Got it.
Right.
Requiring,
I see.
okay,
So
cross,
you could certainly do that as a straight motion, right? It's separate motion
requiring,
then.
requiring services, that's sufficient?
No, requiring
I have to say
cross-category
special
special
education.
education services.
There you go.
Especially with
cross-categorical.
technology services.
Okay,
occupational
I got it.
therapy,
Okay.
physical therapy, vision.
Yes, thank you.
Oh,
I can do
I don't wanna do it like that. Okay,
No,
no,
you can make a motion. if
Yeah,
want.
you go.
Make the motion.
it. So I move that the school board approve 0 open enrollment students for the 26-27 school year requiring these services of cross-categorical special education, speech language pathology, occupational therapy, physical therapy, vision services, orientation mobility services, deaf hard of hearing services, audiology services, and any other contracted services. Did I miss anything?
you got it.
Is there a second?
Can I do a friendly amendment then? Or could you add
Well,
in?
there isn't a second yet,
So
so
I could,
what do you wanna add?
well, I'm saying, could you still tie in regular, like,
Oh,
and
special
also
and all?
keep it
No?
separate.
Let's just see.
Okay, okay. Okay, it's fine.
Is there a second?
Second,
Okay.
liquid second.
Okay, discussion, Danielle, do you wanna go first?
Well, yeah,
So
so.
this is discussion of the motion with respect to the
Special.
open enrollment students.
Yeah, and this is,
Requiring these various services.
I'm fine with the motion as is. I guess reading the policy, I'm trying to figure out if we are mandated to separate and delineate space based on sped and non-sped. Doesn't need an answer. It's just,
We do.
okay. I just like I want to follow up on that later in terms of like the policy language and reasoning. And then I just another wondering, how does our special education caseload compare to other districts for a follow-up question, not at this meeting? And then the other thing I wondered was, what if we employed this like service matrix for, sorry, I didn't mean to do that, the service matrix for non-special ed students, like, 504s or just gifted and talented, or like, high maintenance, regular non-sped kids. The wondering in my head would be like, what would that look like for teachers? Maybe it'd be validating for them too, if we were assigning numbers to them. Those are just my thoughts. But I appreciate,
Thank you.
yeah, and you get it.
I do.
I see clearly and always see clearly that our student services team is overworked and understaffed, and we can't afford to hire. So I understand this recommendation. Yeah. Chris?
No, I think this is really well done, and I appreciate the quantitative approach. I think it's very defensible.
Thank you.
Katie?
I do see that K-5 caseload is more than double what it should be, and so just wanna like put it out there that if we should find money somewhere, that should really be a priority, because
Yeah.
that class is gonna be with us for 8 more years.
We see that.
Yeah.
I appreciate the language. I believe that the language is addressing some recognition that we have students who might be accessing services in a variety of ways. And so I think recognizing that those services that are not easily categorized or that are fall outside of funding models are also addressed by this question.
Okay, any visitor comments? Anyone else? All right, pending is a motion by Chris Robinson, second by Katie Avalos, no, by Karen Cronwell.
Yeah.
I wrote down the wrong initials. Motion by Karen Cronwell, second by Katie Avalos to approve 0 open enrollment students requiring.
I was the second.
Oh, okay, sorry. Gosh,
Categorical services.
hold on. Okay, motion was by Karen Cronwell, my apologies, second by Chris Robinson to approve 0 open enrollment students requiring.
Cross-categorical, speech and language, occupational or physical therapy, vision services, O&M, deaf and hard of hearing or audiological or any other contracted service.
There. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. All right, then on to the regular open enrollment seats. Would anybody wish to make a motion on that?
I move to approve 0 open enrollment seats across all grade levels.
Second.
So that's Daniel Bailey first. then Cronwell. Second, okay, and I'll go first. I think it's my turn. If someone made a motion to approve the 1 second grade seat, I would have voted against it, just to let you know. Not because there's anything wrong with the recommendations or the numbers. The numbers clearly show that there is space for an open enrollment seat in second grade. But I said this last year and I've just sort of made a decision in my mind. If we have to separate open enrollment admissions for regular ed students and students with special education needs, I will not support that. It's not something our district creates. It's not something our staff creates, but it's something I can't honor. It's generated by a crap funding model out of the state. I hate the idea that we would open enroll a student in, and if they have needs, we have to send them back. I'm gonna make myself cry. There's nothing worse to do to a child than to say, because you have needs, I'm sorry. I hope I'm making you cry for good reasons. Because if we say to a student, you have needs, you don't belong here. There's nothing more discriminatory and hurtful and harmful than that. When we put children first, we're not putting children first by saying, you're welcome here until we can't afford you. And also by letting you into our school district, all the other kids serviced by our unbelievably overworked student services team will also be underserved. So I just want to make it perfectly clear. This has nothing to do with any problem in the modeling or the recommendation. I know you understand that, Anna, and we talked about this before. And it has absolutely nothing to do with the age-old trope in this district that the bad kids in our district are the open enrollment kids, which is just the dog whistle for the MPS kids who are Black and brown. It has nothing to do with that. It has only to do with a desperate wish in me that our state legislature would properly fund special education services for students so that we can treat every kid the same in this stuff. So there's my soapbox. I'm off it. Chris.
This is maybe one of those times where I disagree with you.
Yeah.
And I agree with everything that you say.
Yeah.
I certainly support those values. But I also really believe in our district. And if we can change the trajectory of somebody's life, one second grade student,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be for it.
Are you offering anything up?
Oh, I don't know.
Well, let's get.
Well, there's a
through this
pending
one.
motion.
Yeah.
So we'd have to
Yeah,
see
yeah.
how this motion does and then
I wanna see how everyone feels before I do that.
Katie.
I agree with you, Carla, and I also feel like second grade's kind of an awkward place to pull a student in. Like, we get a lot of new students in K5, we get a lot of new students in first grade. We don't really get a lot of new students in second grade, so that's that student that's gonna be coming into kind of a gelled situation. Like, if that seat is still open when they're coming into fourth grade and it's a big transition anyway, then maybe I'll feel differently, but I feel like second grade to let one student in is kind of feeding them to the lion anyway, so I wouldn't really want to do that to them.
So as probably the only one at the table who's actually participated in open enrollment,
Right.
I'm going to say that if there's an opportunity, we should offer it. It's an important opportunity, and there's a variety of reasons that people might be seeking that opportunity, including the fact that they may already have family in the district and be well acquainted with people in the district. And it would not be, and also it's an empowerment of the families that make that choice. And I'm not sure that we're the right people to decide for them whether or not they have the right to make that choice. That's just my position. I mean, and I totally understand how everybody else feels. It is complicated because it's one seat, right? And so it's hard because we're at capacity in so many ways.
Yeah.
And so to have only one seat,
Yeah.
I feel less strongly about it than I might. But I would suggest that this is worth an amendment, because I think if we have the opportunity to serve and support a child, then we should afford that child that opportunity.
Can I,
Let's keep discussing before.
yeah,
I mean, you can
are you,
offer
when
it.
she's done, no, I wanna.
Oh, I was also gonna say that, you know, we talk about the importance of public schools. And if somebody is unhappy with where they are now, it's giving them a public school choice, even with one kid, rather than feeling like they have to go to a voucher school or something.
You want to?
Were you done? I just
Yeah.
wanna make sure. Oh, I was just gonna say, my thinking about it being the one spot is the probability of somebody moving into our district and filling that spot and us having the open enrollment spot if we approve it, just maxes out our second grade.
Not even close.
What do you mean? Well, I'm just like, I think that one, okay. What is our second grade at? Oh, we have one.
So like the
That
second
could be
grade
the-
is 22 to 28, correct? And it would be 23 point,
Current projected class size for second grade.
Oh, it's
18.8.
Okay. Well,
18 to 24
Still
is
think-
the recommendation, so
Okay.
when we
It's a
calculate at
different
90%, it's building in. I mean, in fairness to Karen's point, the building it at 90% leaves a 10% cushion.
oh, for
Right.
people to move
Right.
in.
Right.
Oh,
It's-
okay.
it-
Yeah,
it-
I understand.
In other words, it's a conservative recommendation
Yeah,
already.
And I would add that my daughters each have one really good friend who open enrolled into our district. Because their family moved out of the district and they wanted to stay.
Mm,
Yeah. Well, I guess my thought is, it's the one seat, it feels like, why, is it efficient to even have like our staff, like to do open enrollment? How, I
that's a
don't
fair
know,
question.
you know, I don't like one, I don't know
One,
if it's
it
a good
does
use
make
of.
it a unique.
Like, I think if there were multiple seats available across different grades, it would feel like it would be worth the effort. Anna, do you have like thoughts?
I made my recommendation.
Yeah.
Based
Okay.
on that, yeah.
Yeah.
So you, okay, but like in general, you say if we have open enrollment seats, we should approve them. Like, or you would recommend we approve them if they're open.
Yeah, I mean, I think following a model that's consistent is important, and so, I mean, Kelly is following a model, I am following a
Yeah.
model, so that we are offering consistency, and so it's really the board's pleasure at this point. To make other determinations, right?
And I'm perfectly, I think I'm very open, that this for me is like a moral political choice for me. This is, I mean, the data is clear. There's space for, I mean, if I was just going on pure analysis and all that, it's clear that there's space for the seat. And I totally appreciate these other
Yeah.
perspectives. It's hard for me. But I feel like in solidarity with my brothers and sisters in the disability community who are sick of being treated differently again and again and again, I just can't. I just can't.
Sure.
I can't support it anymore. It just,
Could we call the question and just see how the vote goes?
well, someone suggested they wanted to make an amendment. I don't
You
know.
can't, oh,
You could.
move to, and,
I thought we could.
I think we just.
You can always amend or you can vote on this
Yeah,
and
yeah.
someone,
yeah,
whether it passes or fails, someone could make another motion.
that's.
Right?
I would move to amend to approve one open enrollment seat at second grade. For 26-27.
Second.
All right, and then you would have to take a vote on the amendment, right?
Mhm.
Is there any further discussion needed for the amendment? Okay, all in favor of that amendment?
I,
Okay. Any opposed? Yeah, Danielle and I oppose. So now it is become a motion
On that.
to approve one open enrollment seat in second grade, right?
Mhm.
Is that right? All right, so we now have pending a motion as amended to approve one open enrollment seat in second grade. Do I have that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, any further discussion needed?
I will only add that I appreciate that this is one of the few times that we have like strong divisions, and yet we have been completely.
Yeah.
No.
And division's not that strong, but I'm just like,
It
I mean,
just is what it is.
also her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Can I ask one informational question?
Yeah.
What is the financial impact of doing this versus not doing this? Not that I want to boil kids down to money, but.
One student is approximately 12,000.
Okay.
Although open enrollment, a regular education.
Right,
student.
right.
And also, these numbers can be revisited in June, is that right? Or like at a later date, you can revisit just to make sure you still have the space, is that correct?
I believe it's in September after the start of school.
Oh, no, okay. Let's do it.
All right, so the amendment was by Karn with a second by Katie.
Yes.
All right, so we have pending a motion as amended
Oh, I never know quite how to say this. There was a motion to approve 0 open enrollment seats by Daniel Bailey with a second by Frank Cronwell that was amended. To a motion to approve 1 open enrollment seat in second grade with that amendment being proposed by Karen Cronwell, second by Chris Robinson.
Passed.
Yep, that amendment was adopted. So we are now voting on the motion to approve 1 open enrollment seat in second grade. All in favor?
I,
All right, so that's 3 in favor. Any opposed? Opposed. 2 opposed, motion carries. All right, so we have approved 1 open enrollment seat in second grade.
And I also ask to make sure there's clarity in that motion that there are 0 open enrollment seats in all of the other grade levels.
The amendment was just for
Right.
active
Okay.
grades.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. That's fair.
And because we are
Kelly,
small,
thank you.
everything doesn't seem- Thank you, Kelly.
Okay. Okay.
All right, moving on to item 4A, financials.
These are the financial reports for the month of December 2025. Starting with the fiscal year 2026 revenues and expenses by fund. There's a detailed report there that shows each fund, last year comparison to the current year, July 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025. The general fund in actual revenues through December, $1,147,154. Expenditures, $7,612,665. The special projects fund has a current or through December, actual revenue $6,895. Let's see, there's a typo there. And expenditures of $33,811. We need to Adam builds the foundation. That's a lot of the revenue in Fund 21. Special education, we have revenues and expenditures through December of $1,728,666. The debt service fund, Fund 38, revenues of $1,301 and expenditures of $8,598. The capital expansion fund, currently with revenues of $3,024 through December. The food service fund, revenues through December recorded $150,702. And then expenditures of $102,592. Community service fund, revenues of $164,841 and expenditures of $136,620. Then on the accounts payable disbursement checks for the month of December totaled $1,064,996.32. Of this amount, there's credit card transactions in there totaling $15,023.93, and those are in the next report too, but you'll see those in both places. Then the credit card report is showing a little more information on those credit card transactions. And that is for the month of December, $15,023.93. The fiscal year 26 summary of pay benefits and disbursements. To apologize that the December headings did not make it to the second page, but that'll be fixed. So the total payroll and benefits of $1,231,931.46. And then we had checks of AP checks of $446,907.37. So the month of December, $1,678,838.83. For the month of December, a little lower than the month of November. But very, very consistent. Yeah.
Just, I mean, pointing out there, there was almost a 2-week break, so you're not issuing
Yeah,
payment to
that's
many
true.
of our hourly
It's to the
staff,
hourly
which
employees.
explains why there's a difference.
I love this table so much. This just shows with clarity where
Yeah.
the stability of our payments,
Mhm.
as each month passes, it gives a real clear picture.
And for everybody, you know, every time when Michelle and I meet, she asks for feedback, so provide feedback on like exactly this, right?
Yeah.
How are we getting information? Do the formats make sense? Because I'm always like, it makes sense to me.
Everything else. Then the bank balances as of December 31st. 2025, the general checking had $465,668.73. The payroll bank had a balance of $2,628.31. Petty cash, $258, and then there's a cash on hand, another petty cash, $1,100, and then risk investments. There's multiple funds there, just as in the checking. $2,209,908.73, and then the money market in US Bank, $1,014,143.31. Yes. It's the month of December. And then on the budget calendar, just checking off the things that have been done. And working on updating budget calendar for future as we go out, as we're building the 26-27 budget and future there. So that'll be updated. You'll see that next month. Are there any questions?
Chris?
I just have a comment, and this is how I know the reports are really working for me. I started to write a question, are we at all concerned about, and then I looked at another report, I'm like, no, we're not. We're not trying to cross that out, so the budget to actual including last year's figures were really helpful, because that was my question. How are we tracking compared to last year? And that was really helpful to be able to see that.
Evie?
Oh, everything's pretty clear. Wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah. Carla? No, I'm good. I do want to say, I had the pleasure of watching Anna and Michelle speak with the River Hills trustees last night.
Oh.
And it's just, these monthly reports help me just feel total confidence going in. And of course, we've done this before, but they own the room. Just the fluency you all bring is really spectacular. And we see it every month in these reports we get and your questions. So I very much appreciate this work that you've been doing. All right, anything else? Anyone online? Mr. Martin? Okay.
His question is, in the accounts payable disbursements check report, there are 2 expenses related to flooding for a total of roughly 60,000. And the question is this related to the flood from a few months ago, or is this a different flood?
It's the flood from a few months ago. And we filed an insurance claim and have already received a check, 2 checks totaling 150,000.
So you might have answered, but the second question is, are there any other big expenses planned related to the flood aside from the remainder of the payment to Cowell Restoration?
I don't think so, but I will need to check. That was the last work that was done, was the floor and the drywall.
Painting.
The painting.
All good? Doesn't look like there's follow-up.
Okay. Anything else? All right, would anyone like to make a motion?
I believe there needs to be an edit in that one document, is that right? Okay,
Which one?
so I moved, so the original chart.
Yeah.
So I moved to approve revenues, expenditures and payroll for December 2025. Pending the correction on the cover sheet chart.
Can we say, how would you, do you wanna say pending, probably?
Well, it's like pending, so.
Yeah, if you say
What's the better
pending,
word?
does that mean maybe subject to?
Subject to,
to-
and it would be subject to, Fund 21 actual revenue,
Yes.
okay. Seeing that corrected.
All right,
To $6,895.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
all right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, motion is to approve the revenue expenditure and payroll for December 2025, subject to the change in the Fund 21 number identified by Karen and Michelle. Motion by Karen Cromwell, second by Chris Robinson, all in favor? Aye. That sounds unanimous. Motion carries. Thank you so much, Michelle. On to item 4B, gifts, grants, and bequests.
There were 2 gifts and donations, Wisdom Infotech LTD, $750 donation for the STEM program. And then the University of Wisconsin, $556.90 for STEM, for Lego kits specifically.
What is Wisdom Infotech? Are they a local company?
I believe they were.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
cool.
Yep, they're in Brookfield.
Nice. Okay, these are big enough, we have to have a motion to approve these donations. Would anybody like to make that motion?
I move to approve and recognize the following donations. From Wisdom Infotech for $750 and University of Wisconsin for $556.90. Benefiting our STEM program.
Second.
All right, any discussion, Carl? Oh, wait, Katie,
Thank you, it's amazing.
Carl,
It's really fun to see all of these.
isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I appreciated this change, and so it could open the door.
Enter. Hello, welcome.
Good, see you later.
Maybe the-
Yeah.
Yeah, it is fun seeing who's donating.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Do we remember, or do we know how these came to us? Like, did we solicit them or did they just?
I believe Miss Morale,
Mhm. Yeah.
solicited these 2.
Okay.
Anyone?
Gratitude, thank you.
Same, nothing but gratitude. It's really neat seeing the list of donors stacked up as the months, as the meetings pass. Chris, anything else?
No, I just appreciate district staff that go the extra mile to bring it in.
Yeah. Okay, put this in my motion book. All right, there's a motion by Danielle Bailey, second by Karen Cronwell, to approve donations or gifts from Wisdom Infotech and University of Wisconsin as set forth in the memo attached to the agenda. Computer is closed. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries, and many thanks to Wisdom Infotech and the University of Wisconsin. Item 4C, student fees, meal prices. This is a discussion only item.
Yeah, so a couple of things. There's a chart in your Word document. Let me pull it up. Showing a new projection. You know, we have a budget for Fund 50, but wondering, did we set fees high enough? That was the question when those fees were set. So in looking at that, analyzing how many meals we've served each month for the number of days from the start of school through last week, in looking at those and then projecting how many meals a day we're serving, projecting out to the end of the year, and then the rates of the revenues from the students, the revenues from the federal, and the revenues expected from the state, and then any, catering is also in that a la carte piece. So in looking at all of those, projecting revenues, if we keep pace of what we've been doing, $400,832.96. Expenses, breakfast, these are the amounts we pay for, pay to Aramark for the meals. Based on those numbers that were projected for the revenues. Lunch, a la carte, equipment, and this I think I noted in the board documents. This was budgeted at 12,000, but we haven't spent that. We are expecting to purchase a new warmer for Parkway, I believe roughly $3,000.
3 and 4, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. But I kept that full amount in here. GFL environmental, that's the waste that we are able to attribute to the food service program. Waste pickup, and then supplies. And transaction fees. Based, and that's for RevTrak for those RevTrak and the other company that people pay online, those fees go through there. So in we're looking at projected expenses, if we met that $12,000 budget on equipment, of $409,815 for a loss of $8,981.86. At this time, not anticipating that we're going to spend that full 12,000 for equipment, I wouldn't recommend a change in fees.
Mhm.
But any
Okay,
more information that,
we'll go around the
Okay.
table, Karen.
I think, I mean, I appreciate the follow-up. I think it's really important for us to continuously review this because it is something that we have control over, but can't control so many other things. And I just feel like if there were going to be a consistent loss, we should probably take a look at adjusting because that's money, even as nominal as it is, that could be utilized elsewhere. I did have a question. When you talk about severe needs paid and severe needs reduced, what does that mean exactly?
so we have, at Glen Hills, these are different rates of reimbursement that the federal government has based on if your school is designated a severe need school, I believe it's the number free and reduced.
Yeah.
So Glen Hills is currently
A higher rate.
higher rate. So there's a higher reimbursement for those meals per meal. And those are the categories that the federal government reimburses us.
So when it
There's
says
different
paid, is
amounts.
the federal government paying you?
Yeah, okay, so let me go through those,
Yeah,
so,
thank you.
so you're welcome. So severe needs paid, and this is only for breakfast, I should have distinguished that, so. These are paid meals at Glen Hills for breakfast, full paid meals, when it says paid, it means they're the full price. The student is paying what we're charging.
So this is Glen Hills, so
Glen
Hills, where it says severe need, it means Glen Hills.
Yes,
I
yeah,
got
this was my worksheet and
I
I
got
turned it into a.
Okay,
Severe need Glen Hills reduced price and breakfast price is 30 cents.
okay.
Severe need free, so these revenues are a combination of federal revenues and state.
Thank you. I was just
You're welcome.
really, I was like, what? Why would we be, if there are severe needs, why would they be paying?
Or free, right, yeah.
My question too.
Yeah. And then, regular breakfast, that's the regular program, and that's
Sure.
Parkway is on the
Yeah.
regular, yes. So then that's fully paid meals, reduced price meals, and free meals.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That clarifies it all.
Okay.
Daniel? I think this is like a 2%. We're 2% over budget, right? So I started thinking, what is the lunch cost currently?
Well, I don't know that we're over budget, I think we're under budget.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We've gone over by about 2%, right?
Well,
Right? Oh, we're under
The
budget.
budget, yeah, our budget was a break-even budget at 471,612. So we're not selling as many meals as what we had projected.
Yeah, okay.
So that's a difference, yeah. And if you look at, like, with the board report through December, there was some revenues for a la carte that weren't recorded there, and then, yeah, there was some more revenues. So revenue was showing, revenue was higher than expenses on Fund 50, yeah. But there was like a $48,000 difference there, but some of it wasn't recorded yet because we hadn't been billed
Okay,
for the expenses, and those hadn't been paid.
yeah, I must be.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at this table and seeing a loss of 8,900.
Yes, that is correct. That's what we're projecting.
That's what we're
That's,
projecting.
yes, I misunderstood.
I see.
Mhm.
I'm just wondering, that's just pennies per meal, right? When you sort it out across the meals.
Yeah, did
Yeah.
I leave it here? How many meals? Total meals?
Yeah.
Yeah, all these numbers total. I had a total, it was,
I don't like the idea of changing lunch costs in the middle of the school year. You know what I mean?
That's
But it's,
the
a-
next-
but it's interesting because what this suggests is you could adjust it by just pennies.
Yeah,
So it would keep it-
$3.25 for a full price lunch.
Right, so 2%, if
And
you're looking at about,
breakfast is $2.
yeah, so
Yeah.
it's. If we were to decide we wanna reach break even, we'd be talking about a couple of pennies, a
I
few
just
pennies, yeah.
For next year.
Yes.
mhm.
2% of 325 is. That should be 3%, yeah, it's not much, yeah. Okay, that's all I've got, Chris. And thank you, of course, thank you for this clarity.
And I don't expect you to have this answer now, it's just so wondering, you know, when I see the federal lunch aid, if that's anything we would ever be eligible for it, what would that take?
We do receive federal
Yeah.
lunch aid.
Oh, I thought it
Mhm.
said 0, that's why I was,
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
wondering if when I change this. Oh, those columns. So, yeah, I think I have my headings and my other stuff mixed up. On my
Oh,
sheet,
okay.
they're not.
got it.
So, I can go through here. Man, hide some columns. Give you some more information.
Well, I mean, the more information is, yeah, we are getting
Okay.
that, so
Yeah,
it's
Yeah.
not like an untapped resource.
um. I don't know how much detail you want.
I don't know,
Yeah,
knowing
I-
that we have it, that's.
Right.
That's-
Let me just see this too. We're looking at approximately serving 97,614 meals. Of that amount, local revenues of 184,246. Federal reimbursement, 209,176.
Wow,
And then state reimbursement of $7,410.
thanks.
You're welcome.
So Michelle, just for clarity
Yeah.
purposes, based on what is projected up there, where it says federal lunch aid, it has that 0 that's right there. Do you-
Mhm.
do you see what I'm talking about?
I do, yeah.
The wondering that I would have is that those,
Oh.
do you see, I think that's what Chris is referring to.
That's what
Yeah,
I was confused
yeah,
about.
Yeah, this was my work.
No, that's okay. No, no, no.
Yeah, so that
No,
really,
no
and I
need.
can update it in board docs too, so what's
Okay.
out there is actual,
Okay,
what it is.
thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else? Anyone else? Mr. Martin? Thank you so much for this update. Yeah, it's helpful. Okay, moving on to item 6A. There's nothing under item 5 in our standing agenda. Moving on to 6A, staffing changes.
Right. Okay, so taking a look at our district policy around termination and resignation, so. Employment termination may be accepted by the superintendent for our support staff, employment of the support staff. I am bringing to the board, just so there's clarity and transparency around those processes. Both positions have been hired due to the need to cover student special education needs. So the superintendent has accepted the resignation of Trina Dennis, special education paraprofessional.
I'm recommending the board approve the hiring of Nicholas Matatuski as a special education professional. And recommending the hiring of Javante Dotson as a special education paraprofessional. Both of these hires are replacing vacant positions due to resignation or termination of employee.
Okay, would anybody like to make a motion?
I move to recommend the approval of the hiring of Nicholas Matuzewski, I'm so sorry. And Javante Dodson as special education paraprofessionals.
I'll second.
Any discussion, Danielle?
I just wanted to thank you, Anna, for adding in the context and the agenda. That was like really just helpful for me with my bad memory about when we're replacing positions.
Yeah, very.
And just
helpful.
as that, so I appreciate that. Okay.
Yep, thank you, same, thank you for the continuing clarity and transparency.
Okay.
Chris?
Katie, welcome aboard.
I have some people with other positions.
How do you say that last name of Nicholas?
Manischewski.
Oh, man.
Oh, boy, I did.
You shouldn't have guessed that.
I know, I don't like.
These are sound more profile.
Yes, we're doing our best, and it's Javante Dotson, right? Okay, there is a motion by Chris Robinson, second by Katie Avalos to approve the hires of Nicholas Matashevsky and Javante Dotson as special education paraprofessionals. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously, and welcome Nicholas and Javante to the Glendale-River Hills School District, and thanks for joining us. All right, state convention update. Three of us went to the three board members went to the state convention. Anna and Michelle were there as well. And I thought maybe we could just go around and share sort of our elevator talk key takeaways. Does that sound good?
Yeah. 30 seconds.
Anna has created a little collection of notes. I created a one-page notes that's attached in board docs in administrative content. I've also created a Google folder in which I've started dumping presentations that are available. Even if you didn't attend the convention, you can still access. So if there are any files there that you want to save, you should dump them into that file. And like Kelly, I think you can go onto the convention. There were a whole variety of sessions. We could only go to some of them. So Anna, do you want to start with your elevator takeaway from the convention?
Sure. I attended a pre-conference session on our students, our future, and empowering boards with superintendents with governance. And so really looking closely at the coherence governance model, which holds the superintendent to the strategic plan and outcomes, which I think we've moved closer towards. Not full coherence, but closer. And then and then also looking at one of the key takeaways that I had is I believe it was, and I'm gonna forget, I think it was DeForest School District. It was able to share their board had worked really closely at looking at their strategic plan KPIs and thinking about, as they looked at, in particular, in this case, student data, what were some of the things that they really wanted to know about, and they developed the criteria for those reports so that the directors in special education and student services, as well as curriculum instruction, knew how to develop those reports to answer specific questions that they knew the board was going to have. So it was a really good opportunity for us to look at some of those samples and say what really matters to this board, and thinking about making sure that we're delivering information for you for your oversight role in a way that is helping you understand what you feel you need to understand. So it was really clear. So enjoyed that. Also attended a small session on the board engaging the community in different ways through visits to senior centers and having board members move out into different spaces, meeting community members where they're at. To talk a little bit about what's happening in schools and some of the strategies that they use for that. Also, I think they do like a donuts breakfast kind of thing, stuff like that to welcome people in. So there's some planned events, I think, on like a monthly-ish basis that the board holds. And different board members tap in and out of that.
I went to a music program that expressed that same idea, but through the music program.
Yep.
At South Milwaukee.
Yep.
I met the superintendent.
Yeah.
You know, they
She's
use their
lovely.
most music program to reach out into the senior centers and to bring people in. And they actually try to engage community during performances, like participatory.
Yeah.
Music. Made by, yeah, it was very cool.
Also attended some sessions on staff-led mentorship for retention and growth. So looking at other districts' mentoring programs and looking at what we have as mentoring programs, looking at ways for that to be teacher-led. I attended another session on developing teacher leadership in the district, which has been a focus of our administrative team in terms of building exceptional staff and exceptional leadership that also extends to our teachers. A long-term plan for operational facilities and efficiencies was looking at the Menasha School District and what they have done in terms of renovation of their buildings, reconfiguration, how they have dealt with their declining enrollment and right-sizing their district. So there was some really good information about their process that they followed and kind of the long-term track of ongoing work that involves. So like they've done it in a very stepped way to be responsible to their community. So like they've taken on one building at a time and then, you know, that they have eased their way through looking at how they can address those needs over time. So good information there that I can share out with you. And then also one of the other things that I really enjoyed was a workshop on holding a legislative day. One of the things that I thought was really powerful about it was holding a day where we invite all legislators from both municipal, local government, all the way up to federal government. Not always, you know, everybody shares, but sort of that pressure of inviting those officials, it provides them with an opportunity to meet and discuss and talk with each other.
Love that.
And then it also provides them with an inlet into the school. It's usually the way that the school district has structured that work is by having a very highly structured half day where they travel to different buildings in the district. They usually get on the bus, they spend some time talking to students. So
We can put them on our van.
yeah, it could be, it also could be an opportunity to do that. Even in a broader way with our partner schools, so they can see multiple schools and then maybe hear from, you know, high school students or something that's like have gone to each of the partner schools. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yes, yeah, so it was a really great workshop. And then the other one I went to, I think Chris, you were at as well on the job of trying to find people to succeed people in both board roles and in superintendent roles and the tough work and intentional work that goes into building leadership. And I think some of their suggestions were growing your own, because you know what the performance is within your district, and how there's.
We think that's a great idea.
Yeah, and then also just like looking at outside, I know some of the comments that other smaller districts, especially in the northern part of the state, share is that they have no other option to grow their own because people typically don't want to move
Right.
to those areas, and so there's a lot of emphasis around that.
Michelle, anything you'd like to share from sessions you attended?
Yeah, I went to a couple of them that Annie went to as well. One of them I went to though, new teacher compensation models from collaboration, information and process to implementation. So it was the people who had put this together. They talked about the parameters that they had and how they, you know, from starting their conversations, things they were fearful of or really wanted to keep, you know, with their current, all the way through presenting it to the board and just getting approval or, you know, feedback and having to tweak it again. So that was very interesting. And then
We sat together through the 4-hour finance 101.
That was really good.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah,
Got the information.
Rooted in referendum results as well. This was 3 different districts and they were, one gentleman had been, superintendent had been in 2 different districts. So they talked about from the perspective of 4 different districts, different sizes, different parts of the state, how they had been successful in passing referendums as far as the communication piece. What did they do? One gentleman, there was a yes group and they would sit down with people who were planning to vote no and have a beer with them. He couldn't have a beer, but you know, the people on the board could. Just different things, you know, different strategies and how
Yeah.
to talk to the people and really communicate. Yeah. You know, the best example.
But it's memorable.
But how about you, Chris? Anything you'd like to share?
Well, I kind of wrote a book and I'll try to,
Elevator
summarize
pitch,
here.
elevator pitch.
Student success starts with board strategy. It was a case study on the Elk Mound district. And what they did is they used guidance and counseling standards to drive change. So they reframed behavior as students lacking skills, and they actually aligned the skills with the behavior infractions. And then, I think made the same, I think they made the same realization as our district did, is that you don't want to remove the teacher from the equation, because that's a relationship building thing, that, you know, the principal said, you know, I used to do it, then I realized I'm cutting off these relationships with families and that kind of thing for the teacher. But, so the teacher it certainly does a lot of tier 1 behavior education that the counseling staff has designed and trained them on. But then the counseling staff or the student support staff will meet with small groups that have those like missing skills in certain areas. So they'll do a skills group, which I thought was really, really fascinating. And they link these skills with the employability skills matrix. And then as an aside, you all may know this, I did not know this, but there's a relatively new DPI rule that lets certain school service providers bill Medicaid for students without IEPs. I didn't know that, so that for me was like, oh, I didn't know that. So that was a good session. Anna, you already talked about the succession planning. I'm not gonna do that anymore. I loved the math that moves the needle for student outcomes. That was the Swallow School District in Heartland. And they changed their math sequence very similar to the changes that our district made. Which was kind of affirming. And Katie, I'm sorry, I know how you feel about this. They love Alex. Love it, love it. But they, you know, very small district. They have 2 middle school math teachers. The one comes into the elementary school and they do 20 minutes a week fun math challenges in addition to the math block. And I do have like the links and websites where this came from and things like that. They added vertical board work, small groups clustered around a whiteboard on an easel, and the writer is not the one solving the problem. You know, the others are directing.
It's almost like an Avid model. Isn't that like Avid?
It's based off of rethinking or creating thinking classrooms. I have a book.
Like a
I have a book.
Socratic method.
No,
on it.
Yeah, it's a book on math practices, that a gentleman has done a ton of research in classrooms, so like they're basing some of that practice on that, which is really cool because it's rather than being theoretical research, he actually did the research in classroom and looked at how it like reacted in real time.
Like an anthropologist, he did field studies. I love that.
Action research.
Yep.
Yeah.
So anyway, I put the person's name down here in case that's of any interest. I went to It All Matters, Students with Disabilities, Academic Growth. And it wasn't until I was in there that I realized it was mostly high school stuff, but they use what they call the bumblebee service model instead of co-teaching, where every special ed teacher can serve all kids. You have your own caseloads for writing reports and things like that, but that they distribute they distribute the services among everybody. And that there's a great flexibility, like if you're stuck with somebody who is having trouble regulating, they can call someone, hey, can you cover so-and-so's service minutes because I'm otherwise detained. And so I just, it was very fascinating. They also have, they also don't have their new sped teachers the first year write IEPs and things like that. I mean, it floored me. So those were my sort of highlights.
Do you have a document that you're reading from? Would
I
you be
do.
willing to drop that into the folder I created?
Yes,
So,
you might just show me how to do that.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll try.
Or just email it to.
I wrote you on it, but
If it's in the Google machine,
it
you
is
can just send me the link
okay. I'll
and
do that.
share with me, and then I can,
Lovely.
I'll try to figure out how to make
Yeah.
a copy.
Yep, I keep.
I
getting
am
out 'cause
equally
I don't
incompetent.
have it. Okay.
with- Yes,
Just where it
Move it.
says edit.
I'm not gonna retain
Okay.
All right, Danielle?
Okay, I did the pre-conference on Beyond the Score, which I had attended before, and just, it's about state report cards, basically reiterated that state report cards are a snapshot of leg data, like really don't serve public schools well. But there was an interesting phrase that it was like, state report cards compare schools. That's like really what they do. Whereas if you want to measure like how your students are doing, KPIs serve that measure to like know growth and success and that kind of thing. So that was interesting. And my big takeaway from that is that I would love to draft, which I've already started, a like board resolution for when state report cards come around, or I don't know when it makes sense, but to just sort of like highlight like, yes, this is mandated and we take this seriously. This is a data point, but kind of just articulating how the board and the district utilize additional information and like, give the context of how we measure our students' growth and success and why we do it that way. So that was, also state report cards don't include SEL stuff. They don't, there's a whole lot of things. I went to Price of Parallel Systems with Carla, and this was Ann Chapman.
Ann Chapman from
She's-
WASBO.
So they have a nonpartisan research group, so she's very like neutral in language and really tries to stay fact-based. So it was interesting to hear her say, which was in your notes too, that there's growing evidence that vouchers have a negative impact on student outcomes.
The graphic was so fabulous.
It was,
She
right.
mapped, did you guys see this? She mapped impact on student achievement across some vectors. So she looked at voucher programs in Ohio and Louisiana.
Yep.
And then she looked at the student achievement impact of Hurricane Katrina.
Yep.
And COVID
Mhm.
and the vouchers. And this would have, she's referring to academic research, so they've controlled for all the things. Ohio and I think Louisiana's voucher programs harmed students more
Than the
than
natural
students
disasters.
impacted by Katrina or COVID,
Yeah.
which is, it just sort of
Mhm.
makes your jaw gape, right?
Yeah, it was not an uplifting session. It was actually a little scary, but there was a lot of good information in it. Both Florida and Arizona, whom we are on the heels of, once they lifted their caps on vouchers and it became like a free-for-all, they have essentially bankrupted, like they have blown their state surpluses. They are like multi-billion dollar deficits.
Yeah.
That somehow they didn't plan for. And
With a significant amount of that voucher money going to extremely high income families.
yes, that's across the board, right? Just like in Wisconsin, where a majority of students were already in
Yeah.
a voucher school, private school, paying tuition, and they are the ones receiving the vouchers. Wisconsin's close to $1 billion in voucher spending already, and that is with the limits that we have in place, the 10%. Like resident cap, income, and like grade restrictions, and that cap goes away in 26, 27. So
Yeah.
So that's scary. But that, yeah, so nothing good there. But, good info, good graphics. She also stated that the only potential, like upside to keeping the funds separate for voucher and public schools, or not only, but the main one is that might be the main unwritten limitation on vouchers, is that continued transparency of what it costs for resident students to attend voucher schools through the property tax like levy. So it's like, it's a way that we have access to see how much money, whereas if the funds became commingled, like some people are pushing for, you would lose that visibility.
Decoupling.
Yeah, decoupling, right. Then I went to one about creative funding facility project, long-term planning success. This was a case study of an elementary school in Menominee Falls. That district runs their own rec program. They had an elementary school and a rec center connected, separate entrances. But they had an issue where community members and students would mingle in the hallways during school hours because one classroom was like adjacent, to the community center. So to address that, they started planning ahead. They built up about $12 million in 4 something years in their Fund 39. And they said their goal was to have a flat tax levy rate. And so they taxed more than they needed at the time, because you could tax up to the debt. You guys know that. I was like learning all of this. And when they were able to like cash it out or defeased the debt, they defeased $12 million in debt, which generated a $3.3 million interest savings over a longer period of time. But they were able to pay for a $9 million facility renovation without going to referendum. The thing that stuck out for me was that she was like, property taxpayers will never remember when their taxes go down, but they will always remember when they go up. I was like, yep, so true. So their goal was that flat, tax levy for so many years, and that's how they built that up and were able to be creative when they did the defeasance. So and then, yeah, I think those were my notes are still in progress, but I shared them with you guys. Candor had a booth and they offer substance abuse education or like modules. And I was like, oh, that's interesting, knowing that like vaping is a thing that unfortunately teenagers do. But the lady was really nice. And I went to a couple of food vending booths as well and met with some people, ate some delicious General Tso's tofu. But got some good advice and ways to think about writing RFPs when that time comes, and how sort of how to really target what you want, how to be specific, how to anyway, so that was interesting. Yeah, those were my main things.
Okay. And then for me, I'm sitting here thinking, like key highlights for me, I went to the WASB legislative update session. And they pointed out February and March, this is it for this legislative session. The Assembly says they plan to be done after the February floor session, and then the Senate will go to the March session. So of course that means after March is the best time, they pointed out, to invite legislatures too. So I love that you're thinking about it. I love it, because that's like in April and May are great times. Schools are tooled up. It'd be a fantastic time to bring people in. Love it. And a great time for us to mingle with our peers in other jurisdictions as well, if we can do that. Legislation that rang my bells that are likely to pass and not be vetoed included legislation around protection of students against grooming behaviors. I think that has strong bipartisan support, as well as the other one that made me interested was bills that will and dealing with school buses. Making it easier for people over 70 to be hired. I think you've mentioned that to us. And then also allowing buses to be equipped with recording devices. And so I don't know if that's something that's in discussion with Right Way, but that legislation is coming down. I don't think it'll be a mandate, but it would be a thing where, as I understand it, school boards could enact a policy requiring or asking for it. And then bus company with,
Yeah.
but I don't know what that is.
Right Way has cameras on
Oh,
buses.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, this legislation would enable it, so,
Add the rehire, what is it?
Retired
Retired
annuitants.
annuitants is the
Yep.
main priority, and that's a point of advocacy we might be able to support. in the
Yes.
next couple weeks.
word is there's still some resistance to it
Yeah.
in the majority party because they don't wanna see teachers double dipping and.
Yeah, God forbid we actually be able to teach our kids.
Yeah, yeah. Then I also went to the WASB developments in school law, which of course, as a lawyer, it was just really interesting. You know, I don't know how you felt about it.
Drinking from a firehouse.
Yeah, they move fast when they go through that. It's Bob Butler. My highlights, I mean, there was a lot of case law developing around religious freedom and First Amendment rights. The First Amendment stuff was mostly about employees expressing First Amendment rights. And from my perspective, as a person who used to do some of that law when I worked as an attorney for the federal government, I don't think the law has changed much. Employees have to comply with what their employers tell them they have to do and say. That's just a given wherever you are on the political or social spectrum. So, you know, subject to anti-discrimination laws and all that kind of stuff. But that was all interesting. But I took two takeaways. One was Bob Butler shared with us a case involving parents who asserted that their child's religious development was going to be negatively affected by, I think it was LGBTQ literature that was part of the curriculum. So it was a very specific case. I don't want to get into all of it, but I think it was the Supreme Court of the United States decision effectively said they're sending it back. There's gonna be more litigation, more things happening in the legal pipeline. But in the meantime, their answer was, you know, this might impact these people's religious rights. So you gotta give these parents notice anytime there's a book covering LGBTQ topic and let them opt out. All right, so putting all that aside, Bob Butler floated the idea. And I don't know whether we have one, but he floated the idea of whether school boards should consider having a controversial issues policy with
We have
opt-out standards.
We do.
Right?
We do. We
So,
can look at, I mean, we can look at it and see that. I don't know it off the top of my head. I'd have to look at it.
yeah,
but I believe there's
so I don't know if Neola's gonna be looking at it in general, but they might have to. There's case law floating. So I found that all really interesting. That my takeaway was there's a shifting landscape around all this stuff, and we're gonna have to watch out. And we're gonna have to carefully navigate. I don't like the idea of giving families like all sorts of opt-outs. I don't know, I mean, it's interesting to me, so, but, you know, just something that's out there floating. The other piece of good advice that I came out of this session for me was good advice around going into closed session. Not just making sure we comply with law, but also putting in energy into explaining in plain language before we vote. The who and the what and the why and why it's in the public interest before we take a vote. And we don't go into closed session very much anymore, but when we do, you know, it would be good to just remember to be clear. I went to a music session. I think I already mentioned that. I had really random moments talking with people. A member of the school board of Port Washington reached out to me and we talked about tax levy transparency. So it was really nice to connect with someone and talk about local advocacy. I stopped by the Penn table at the convention, got an email, the Public Education Network. And they asked for a copy of our resolution and the Glendale tax insert. So I did email those out, so maybe they'll post that up on that site. So that's some nice notoriety that we're leading the way in local advocacy. And then I had just a really fun chat with the land trust rep who was in the convention hall. I had no idea what the land trust was until I talked with him. Do you all already know like how that works? Yeah, so the state, when the state was formed, it was given by the federal government, this giant chunk of land. That's the land trust. They sell it off sometimes and they've ended up with this multi-billion-dollar trust. It's an endowment. So when we took out our loan, we were taking that loan out of that endowment. The interest we pay doesn't go into a hedge fund pocket, it goes back into the endowment. And that's the library money we get in May from the land trust. And I have the list of all the money that's going out and we're getting like 70,000 in April or May. And for some reason, this had never connected for me. So if you heard squeaky noises in the convention hall as I was talking to that guy, that was me like, oh, I didn't know, all I knew was we took out this big old loan. So it was really neat to see some of those positive connections and to meet with other school board members and stuff. So that's my highlights.
Don't ask when the federal government got that.
That's what I was just gonna say.
I know, I know.
Yeah, they
But-
gave the headline.
But we are now,
Yeah.
buying library books for kids that would not otherwise be funded, that endowment. So it's neat.
Yeah.
That's all I would bother to highlight here. I think, yeah, it was great. It was a good convention. So. Anything else?
Can I just add your controversial issues? I'll send the policy.
Oh, yeah.
Our policy is actually not offensive to me, which is great because we used to have a controversial issues, controversial issues policy. I thought so, but it was primarily located in our human growth and development curriculum, and it actually specified like LGBTQ, and so this one is this one does not necessarily, as I read it, require us to proactively notify people of like every little thing, but it would allow a parent to request to opt out and for us to honor that request to a degree. So it's not as unreasonable. So cool. Yeah. 2240, I think. Policy.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
I also went to the delegate assembly.
Oh,
right.
I'm not gonna give a blow by blow, but I will say that, in addition to the ones that we talked about at our prior meeting, there was an emergency resolution to lobby, to advocate for making the special ed funding more closely match what we all budgeted for or were promised.
Yeah.
And that passed resoundingly, not surprisingly.
The state has the money. They've brought in, what is it, 1.3 billion in revenue more than they expected. It's an easy give.
Well, and they are actually having a conversation.
Say that.
So Robin Boss and the governor are having some discussions.
Yes.
My understanding is they want him to give up the 400-year veto.
Of course.
Before they release the money. Yeah, so. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Can I suggest that we possibly take a break?
Oh, yes. Unless I hear opposition from any board member, we will take a 5-minute recess. Okay. No one's opposed. We're in recess. We'll come back in about 5 minutes. Back online.
We are live.
All right, we are back. From our recess, moving on to item 6C, Superintendent Board Self-Evaluation Discussion. You start with superintendent?
Yep.
Let's start with superintendent.
All right, so in our workshop around evaluation, we looked at various evaluation models for superintendents. I worked pretty diligently to look at some of the Wisconsin state standards as well as looking at OSA standards, which are our national standards. And then worked to develop a rubric that is very similar to the rubric that is used with the administrative team, which is used with our teachers as well. And so that there's alignment there. So I am proposing kind of the thinking that we would pilot this evaluation rubric from like the end of this month until next year in January. As a way to start to look at that. So there's, opportunities for pre-assessment and opportunities for areas of strength to be identified, and then looking at that and having those markers of what success looks like. So that's.
And this is pretty much what you showed us last time too.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
the same, right?
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic. Oh, do we need to have a motion to adopt it? What do you guys think?
Is there a reason not to?
I suppose not, yeah. We could.
In terms of like adopting this as the framework as the tool.
As the rubric tool we're gonna use. Yeah. Anybody want to make a motion? Then we can discuss it if needed.
I move to adopt the superintendent evaluation what do I call it, framework? What do you want to call it?
What would you call it, Ann? Framework, rubrics?
Superintendent evaluation form, so it's titled.
Superintendent evaluation form as attached to board docs as the tool for our superintendent evaluation going forward. That was great.
Can we say for the 2026 year instead of going forward? Because we're just adopting it for this coming it's not even the fiscal
I
year.
think it's actually,
We're doing January to January
Annual evaluation.
yeah,
As a, okay,
as the annual event.
yeah, what you guys said.
I mean, it doesn't accept us from changing it.
No, I know, but it's gonna be so good that we're just gonna.
All right, so can I offer the friendly restatement? Motion to adopt the superintendent evaluation form attached to the agenda as our annual evaluation tool.
Boom. Nailed it.
Second.
Okay. And that's how you do it, friendly.
All right, discussion. We'll start with me. I think it's my turn. I have nothing to discuss. This is great, Anna. Thank you for putting it together. Look forward to having a proper rubric that can give you feedback that might potentially help you. So thank you, Chris.
I just had one, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I had just one little suggestion. Under domain 4, the human resources and leadership development, I wondered about adding the words and capacity to distinguished.
Where's that?
Distinguished, where? And strengthen organizational stability and capacity. Is that what you're? Oh, this one right here.
Oh, under distinguished.
Do you want to say why or what does it add?
Because capacity speaks to their, like, it means that we are a more well-rounded staff. And so we're deepening knowledge and skill sets and maybe possibly like cross capacity.
Ready for the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, not just like
Like
growth,
yeah.
not just
Yeah.
We built.
maintaining. It's cool.
How do you feel about that, Anna? Okay.
I mean, she's gonna do it anyway.
That's what.
Anyway, it's like I can tell you my 5-point plan for capacity.
Everyone's okay with that? Jan?
Building the capacity of our teachers is an ongoing goal, so that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
It's a way to capture the idea.
Yep.
Anything else? Is everyone comfortable with my change? Yeah, okay, all right. Katie?
I really like it. I also like that it is very similar to the other administrators, so we have some consistency there.
Model. Yeah. Karin?
I would just echo what everybody's already said.
Danielle? All right, anyone visitors? Weighing online? All right, we have a motion by Danielle Bailey, second by Karin Cronwell to adopt the superintendent evaluation form attached to the agenda as the annual evaluation tool with the revision suggested by Chris Robinson. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Right. Moving on to the board.
Can I
rubrics.
introduce them? Just
Yes,
really quick?
please.
Okay.
The floor is yours.
Thank you. So in collaboration with Anna, I put together a draft self-evaluation for the board, and I shared an Excel spreadsheet, which makes it easier to see just the statements outside of the rubric language.
Yeah.
I shared it, I thought it was in the drive, but I used National School Board Association, the Lighthouse Study, WASB, and our strategic plan to kind of build this. And then Anna and I met and we kind of went through, we tried to.
Oh, I see. This is very helpful.
Yeah, we tried to make it like concise. We were toying with language and whatnot for the evaluations. And then after we met, and trying to avoid redundancy, although we can get into that. And then After we left, so developing the rubrics was like a pretty intensive me and ChatGPT thing, so I'm not fully like emotionally attached to the language of the rubrics, right? So that's but I did like the idea of kind of mirroring the way that the admin and Anna's evaluation looks at these levels and kind of gives some context for what it might look like if you are embodying these different groups. And they probably should match her language there. And I think that's really all I got.
I think one recommendation that I would make in terms of looking at this as a board tool is the potential of putting it into like a Google form so that you could do it so that it would compile the results of the entire board to look at where areas of strength and weakness it might lie. And where the board would want to situate its ongoing learning and growth development.
The template I have does have that auto like computing capacity. I would have to change it because I did a 1 to 5. So I'd have to like update it. But if you look, it's got additional tabs. So there's a dashboard and ratings.
Nice.
Because I'm a boomer with tech and I tried to make it look like this and it doesn't. So I was like, okay. So but either way, I think either is fine as long as there's like a tool to calculate our scores and like track it. Yeah. So I would maybe propose that like in terms of, I don't know, feedback or edit, like do we like not approve anything tonight and just kind of invite feedback and edits and I don't know.
Well, let's discuss.
We can just
Let's discuss first.
right.
Is it Karin's turn to go first? I think it is.
Well, first of all, it was an extraordinary amount of work, so thank you
Yes.
for
engaging in it. And
That's
also,
fun. I am glad you geek out over it. We do that. I appreciate the shared page that you just gave up, that I just.
yeah, because it was hard to, yes.
Well, because, I don't know, but,
It was in the.
but I would agree, I think like visually it'd be great if we had uniformity between all of our rubrics. So as we move forward and as this growth process clicks for us, then it would be good to grow forward in that formatting as well. And I will admit to having I did not dive in terribly deep into the language.
Okay.
But also the broad strokes of it makes sense, especially for an initial draft, so.
Danielle? You want to skip? No pass?
I had fun doing this with Anna,
ask
kind of
yourself
working
some
through,
questions.
no, just, but like really working through the language and the words. Please know we remove trust from the evaluation statements. Even though ChatGPT preferred trust.
No, I think it's fantastic. I think it's a fantastic start. I decided not to like Billy goat it, which I explained to you offline, but
You
you know,
could
I
later.
don't think this is for me, it is not an appropriate space to nickel and dime, because I think you put an enormous amount of work into this. And my view is we should give this a try. Let's do it. I would love it if you would replace the word trust with confidence.
Why don't you take a stab
And I
at
will
the
say,
rubric language?
it's not just a fetish, because I think saying like a culture of trust is different than saying a culture of confidence. Because a culture of trust is the opposite of accountability and oversight,
Did my best.
right? You know what I mean? No, stop. Like, I don't want Anna to trust us. I want her to have confidence in us.
Right.
She shouldn't have to trust that we'll support her. She should have confidence that we do because we demonstrate that to her. Right? You know what I mean? I think that word choice actually makes a big difference given the way our culture currently uses the word trust. So that's why I get kind of hung up on it, because I really like pushing myself to this idea of I need to grow my confidence in people. Part of that is for me making the space to observe. Right? That's what I was thinking about going to the River Hills trustee meeting last night. I really didn't want to go outside of other stuff. And I'm like, how can I build confidence in my people unless I'm there and I show up and I can see them? And then my confidence is based on evidence, which is available to me if I look for it. And I think that's the challenge for school boards, right? To look for evidence, because this is a sidekick, right? And so it's hard to push in like that. So that's the only thought I had. I don't care what it looks like. I think we should give this a shot, and then we we're gonna be doing it at 6 months, right? And then at a year? Is that the general idea? Or, right, so when we come back to this, we're not gonna do it now. We can look at it in June, right? Go through it and see how it looks for us. But I'm really, really grateful you took this on, and I think it's a great start. And your chart really helps me see kind of the organization of it. And I'm trying to.
I
think if
can
had-
fine tune the.
And
format.
I'm,
Maybe Anna and I can do one less, like.
for me, I'm comfortable just delegating.
Okay.
That's my view. And then I don't know that we need to formally adopt this for us, because if we have consensus, we just know we're using it.
Yep.
And we can just leave it in Danielle's hand to fine tune with Anna's support. But, you know, as soon as possible. So that's my thoughts. Chris?
I loved it. I thought, I really appreciate the amount of thought and work and expertise that you put into it. I just had two related questions. For the board uses district mission and vision to guide decisions and priorities. I wondered if we should also add the district equity lens, or if that's subsumed under.
No,
just
that's
the
great.
plan.
That's a
No,
great
that's-
point.
that's a good.
And similarly, if we should cite the district equity non-negotiables in intentionally seeking input from other, from the community, or if there are other
Yeah.
places.
Yeah,
I
I
just
love
wondered
it.
about calling that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Calling those out.
That's great. I'm gonna put it in the notes.
Katie?
I just really appreciate, and I'm rather impressed by how thoroughly done this is in a
Yeah.
pretty short amount of time.
Yeah.
It's really impressive. So, thank you.
Anyone else? Visitors? All right, so I think we have a game plan, right? We don't need a, and Anna, thank you.
Yeah.
For whatever,
Yeah.
yeah. No, it's a lot of fun. It's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was.
Good. All right, awesome. We have superintendent rubrics, yay. We have rubrics for ourselves, which are gonna be perfectly fine. And then the faster we can get that done, the better, because then we know
Yeah.
what we have
We'll
the
set a- we'll
the
set a
lens
date.
of what we're looking for in ourselves as we go through the next few months.
Mhm.
All right, on to item 6D, proposed closed session.
Oh, okay, I'll do it.
What?
I wasn't sure if there was anything about
mine.
First, Anna's gonna tell us
Yeah.
what this
Yeah.
got. She's, I was
sorry,
waiting
I
for
was
her to
just
go
looking-
through her notes.
I was
Okay.
just looking through and I trying to find exactly where it was at.
We are peacefully waiting.
I'm sorry.
No, please, no apologies.
I'm having stapler issues, Danielle.
I wasn't enjoying this.
You have to sit with the silence,
Right.
patiently waiting.
So I asking that the board go into closed session specifically to discuss our human resources service assistant position, which is one position, which is Erica Lawrence, to talk about her, both her employment and performance as well as compensation.
And so the following Bob Butler's advice from the convention, how would you describe the public interest served by going into closed
I
session?
think the public interest served in going to closed session is ensuring that there is not a revealing of personal information around the particular employee in terms of their employment and evaluation.
All right. Is there a motion?
I move to move into closed session to consider employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibilities, specifically to discuss the HR services assistant position.
Is there a statute?
Oh, there's usually a
19.85
19.85
1C.
1C.
Yeah,
Add
percent too.
With that 19.85 1C, right, okay,
Okay.
all right. There's a motion by Karen Cromwell, is there a second?
Second.
All right, any further discussion? Sure, state your name and address for the record, please.
Sure, Robert Cronwell, 7530 North Applewood Lane. Just a comment about how this was defined on the agenda. This exception applies to discussions about a particular employee. But the way it's described in the agenda is you're talking about a position. And a position, by the way, I couldn't find that anybody has, it's called exactly that.
It's
So, um. So just, and you should really specify in the agenda as well, which parts of the exception are utilizing, as you just did here, that it's, compensation, performance and whatever else it was, promotion or employment. Because none of that's mentioned in the agenda, you really can't tell what the discussion is gonna be about based on what's posted here.
Good feedback, thank
And
you.
and how it applies to that
Yeah.
exception to go into closed
Mhm.
session.
It's just like pure oversight. We always have the statutory citation. I don't know why it's not there this time. We just, when we put together your agenda, I didn't notice it.
I think to your point, though, the verbal description that I gave what we're doing needed to be more clear.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. And the human resource services position is a relatively new position, but I believe she's on our website. Yes,
No,
no, not yet.
website. and-
Okay.
It's a really new.
Yeah.
it's not called that.
Position.
Yeah, that is actually the name, but isn't that the name we approved? Cause I thought
Yeah.
it was strange. This is, yeah. That's the name.
It's human resource services assistant.
But
Okay, thank you for that feedback, Mr.
She
Cromwell.
is on the website. I'll look about it.
She is on the website.
Yeah, but what's the job title?
Human
What-
Resources Service.
Human Resources Service Assistant.
we're trying to have. Yeah. What is?
Okay,
It has been established that she is on the website with the correct title.
but we were talking about motion to move into closed session. Any further discussion among board members? All right, we'll need to do a roll call vote. Chris Robinson,
Aye.
Katie Avalos,
I,
Aaron Cronwell,
I,
Danielle Bailey,
I,
Carla Pennington Cross votes aye. We are officially moving into closed session.
all right, thank you, Rob.
And then thank you, Rob, it's good to see you. When we come back into open for visitors, we're just gonna be doing board planning. There's no news. And we're live. Okay, we're back in open session. There is no action to be taken coming out of the closed session, so we are on to board preview and planning. If you look on the agenda, there's a ton of stuff coming up. I'm gonna be going to one of the gymnastics celebrations. Is anyone else going? So that we need to notice. Quorum. Okay, so there's only two of us, so we don't need to notice quorum on that. Chess tournament, Saturday.
Just as a plug for Lalitha, they are selling Indian cuisine.
Yeah.
from Cafe India and.
From Cafe India?
Yeah, and the proceeds go to help offset the cost of our students' entry fees, so if anybody's looking for.
11:30 to 1:30.
Yeah, 11:30.
I'll be there.
I'll be there, so yeah.
Okay, so do we need to notice a quorum for that one then?
We
I
can,
mean, we all do
I mean,
like
we're just gonna be
lunch.
eating food. We won't talk about anything, right?
we've got the blanket policy.
Yeah.
Or the blanket.
I do love a quorum notice though, because it's one more publicity, it's one more piece of PR for the event.
I love how you see that.
I'm sure Diana does too.
Okay. I don't have feelings about that.
Advertised it at least
You
five
have,
times
you have.
already.
You really
Yeah.
have. You really have, it's true.
And then Anna has very carefully laid out for us
Sorry.
the policies. No,
This
it's
is great.
really helpful.
Okay.
Do you have an ideal deadline for by which you would like all of us to send you any comments and questions we have?
If we're going into a meeting, I mean, I feel like. We could be able to discuss comments and questions there. If we're
Okay.
gonna discuss in the meeting.
Okay.
I think walking through TCs will go relatively quickly.
Yeah.
I think in the past, in those reviews, I would say if you want to identify those that you specifically have questions around, right? To bring to the meeting versus us going through all of them one by one.
Oh, yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay,
Great.
so I'm kind of putting that on you to review and pull the questions where you feel like you have them, okay?
Excellent.
And then I think the SSO policies and the special update are really some mostly fiscal policies. But apply to any student service organization, so PTO, foundation, and any kind of other grouping we would have, and really just kind of get at the school's role in terms of oversight, right? Very cool. So take a look at those, because those would likely mean some changes in just our education of holding those groups in alignment with our policy.
Do they know that this is coming around, the SSO? Might be good to just give them a heads up and see if they have any feedback.
Yeah, I can let them know we're discussing it at the next meeting. And then, the other piece of that is I placed a folder for the board in my update to review, specifically referendum information materials. So any feedback around that, those are not public yet, so I'm looking for board feedback and for us to work on aligning our communication and information points in the community. Yeah, awesome.
Awesome. And then I would add, do you know when the Black History Month program is?
February 26th.
It's the 26th, right?
My birthday.
Nice. I wonder if we want to invite legislators.
Yes.
Would you like to do that, or do you want me to, or? You always do, don't you? I was thinking Drake, Madison.
Glendale Council.
Yep, Common Council, River Hills.
Yeah.
Oh, I think you should go out, you should invite Ron Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could
I'm not
invite
kidding.
him.
But
Absolutely.
So
So,
dream.
so Aaron, if you think any of those invites should come from me, just let me know. Otherwise, I'll.
Probably CC you on them, so
Okay.
that you're in the loop on them.
Okay,
If that makes
great,
sense.
thank you. All right, and then, for my boardies, there's still time for advocacy around the, Senate Bill 611, which is the so-called teacher rights bill. And if you're not aware, there's been an addition around IEPs. Have you seen this?
No, I didn't say that.
An addition.
Yeah, there's been an amendment in an effort to.
Did that happen today?
It happened between the assembly and it happened at the assembly. So the bill that's come over, it's been out there. I didn't even know about it until a couple days ago, but it is. I'm gonna muddy it, but the amendment essentially would require a new section of any IEP, which would you would,
Oh,
yes.
This is the debate,
The,
like you're supposed to try to anticipate what the child might do. and
Right,
have
so-
a plan around it.
what you anticipate the child will do that might be disruptive in the classroom, that you list in the IEP, this crystal ball work, would not trigger the BIP and other requirements. Do you know what the BIP is? BIP, yeah, would not trigger the BIP and other requirements of the statute. But of course, if you do, your crystal ball does not properly identify a behavior that might be disability related, then the bill would kick in. So it creates a mess. And when you think about, I mean, how many IEPs do we have in our district?
107.
Right, so every single one of those IEPs would have to be rewritten to add a section in which you define what you anticipate would be the behaviors that might otherwise fall under the statute, so that they get hot mess. So if you're interested in some advocacy around here, now is your chance, because it's still in committee. I don't think they've taken it to, what do they call it, executive to vote on whether to send it on to the full Senate, but this is a chance to advocate. So I sent all of you my advocacy. If you are interested in this area of advocacy and you want to focus on that special education part, DRW and BPDD have really strong statements out. I can share links with you if you want that.
I do.
Yeah, okay.
I did get a message back from Chris Larson saying he was not going to support the bill.
Oh, good.
Mhm.
Good. I didn't hear that. Anyway, okay, yeah, so that's out there. I would encourage you. And you can send that advocacy. You can send from your school board account, right? You're allowed to, and to identify yourself as a board member. Technically, you're supposed to say you're only speaking on your own behalf. But remember, if you forget to say that, the remedy is that we censure each other. So that only, I just for what it's worth, it's just, I would highly recommend, if you can, weighing in with whatever your opinions are, because, what I heard from an advocate today who was at the public hearing, education committee hearing, was some conservative advocacy groups was there, I think Heritage was there, a lot of disability advocates, no one representing schools. Right, and I think.
Doing it during the school day.
I know, exactly. No school board members were able to be there, right? But still, we can express ourselves, in writing. So thank you for doing that. Okay, move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Danielle Bailey, second by Karen Conwell, all in favor. Aye, we're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh.